What's up, YouTube? ODST General back again with another Operation Trebuchet news update. No videos last week, guys, as we didn't have any Far Isle content to cover, unfortunately. So we may be returning to our op tray every week and just doing Far Isle content on the odd occasion that it comes out. And just reassess that in the future. I haven't 100% decided if that's the course I want to take or not. As I'm getting back into to work once again in real life here and everything, so my schedule is going to be changing around once more. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this video. Starting off, very awesome stuff right away. We've got another look at the MA2B, which we showed off previously. This one's being worked on by Reverence. A pretty cool weapon. This is something I'm very excited for. It looks kind of like a early predecessor to the battle rifle, but obviously this is a predecessor to the assault rifle. If you guys are familiar with it, you already know that. Aside from that, I don't really know much about this weapon. I don't know what its sort of rounds it fires. I don't know how many rounds it carries. I don't know if it's going to have an ammo counter or any of this other stuff. With that being said, though, at a very basic level, I love the silhouette of this weapon. I love its kind of compact bullpup style. And this might be a weapon I use a lot once it rolls out. This is something I'm very excited for just based off the appearance of this weapon alone. However, since we don't have any more information out, let's go ahead and keep moving. So, that brings us on over to a new, well, sort of new weapon from Burgess here. This is the M3211, or M2311, I said that backwards, which Burgess actually started previously, had fully modeled out for OpCan at one point in time, but never released. He is starting that model from the ground up and going back and redoing it. So I've got the old picture here for you guys to see of that. And then, of course, we got the new image. The new image, obviously, much less far along. With that being said, I'm kind of interested to see where he goes. Obviously, this does seem to take a lot of inspiration from the 1911, but Halo-fied. I'm guessing that once he goes back and does this again, that's the same route he's going to take, which is awesome. I love the 1911 as far as pistols go. I mean, it's iconic. And, there's not much else to say about the 1911. But, yeah, as far as the 2311, it looks Halo. At least the old one did. And it looks like it's based off the 1911, so it's great. I dig it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where this one goes, especially using the op tray material setup that they've got. Don't have much more to say on that one either right now, so we're going to move on, which brings us to another pistol, this one being worked on by Vespade. This is the Mark 11, or at least that's what he's got his files and stuff named as. I don't know if the files or the name of this thing is going to change or anything. At one point, this thing was listed as Valorant gun in his rendering, as far as I saw. But this definitely looks like it's going to be for Optray, as he's been sharing it on the Optray Discord, and it looks like a Halo pistol now. So you guys can kind of see the evolution of this pistol a little bit. You don't see the early versions, which weren't really shared, which looked much more like a modern pistol. Aside from that, not much to say on this pistol here. Had that very unique Halo trigger guard, that big, massive, like, hand blocking thing. That's, I guess, ideal for Spartans. He's gone down to a more conventional, modern-day looking one, but it's still a very unique looking weapon because it's got that laser pointer designator, whatever it's supposed to be. I don't really know what that sensor is on top of the pistol, because it's not actually a laser sight. I don't know what that is on top of the Halo pistols. Anyways, it's got a little raised platform area part of it. It's got a silencer, it's got a compensator, and it's got an actual laser designator that attaches onto a rail system on the bottom. You take it all away, it does look like a slightly more advanced modern-day weapon, though. It's kind of crazy. With that being said, I definitely dig it. A lot of aspects of the Halo pistol merged with, like, modern-day weapons, once again. So, it's kind of cool, though. I don't really have much else to say on that either, so let's go ahead and keep her moving here. That brings us on over to the soccer ball. So this one's a project from Go After It, and it's kind of a mod just meant to get him a blue name. It's an easy little project to get him in so he has the resources to continue working on the orbital elevator, which is, of course, the big project he's been working on for the past year that we've covered a bunch of times. As far as the soccer ball goes, I don't have much else to say. It's almost a meme in a sense. I mean, I think Halo has soccer ball. Maybe there'll be some interesting stuff people do with this on the Armor Workshop and make like a soccer Warthog mode or something. I don't know. It could be fun. But not really the bread and butter of this, so let's keep moving here. Then we have a kind of a neat one here. Now, this image was shared as part of a announcement of an Instagram that the Optray dev team is working on. The image was shared by Reverence, although Frosty is actually the one who made this. So this is a remake of the Hornet. And it looks pretty sweet. Now, I don't have much else to say on this right now. I've said this time and time again. I'm really bad at telling the fine details of one model to another apart. I know there's a lot of improvements that have no doubt been made on this thing. I just couldn't tell you what they are without looking at a side-by-side comparison, and even then I would probably struggle some, but I definitely know that there was a lot of things that the old Hornet, like when you really started looking really, really close at it, especially as a modeler, there were some things that need to be fixed, and this probably fixes those, or does even better stuff. I really don't know exactly what was done with this, because this says it's a rework or a remake. So I don't know if this is a complete from the ground built up Hornet, or if this is an adjustment to it. I'm guessing it's from the ground up though, and I dig it. That brings us on over to a couple civilian vehicles. This is pretty exciting. The Optray dev team has a new member, Lee, and he's been working on a bunch of stuff. So first up, we have the Halo Reach. These are semis. It's called the tractor unit. There isn't an actual name for it as far as I could find. Technically, it's a semi in Halo Reach. This is like a long body variant of it with the loading area for cargo and stuff built onto the back of it, as opposed to it being designed to carry a trailer. I dig this, honestly. It's great for a military vehicle. Technically, it is a military vehicle. I said civilian, but it also works super well for a civilian vehicle as well. It works for both. I'm very psyched for this. This would be fantastic to finally replace the helmet after all these years. That's something I've been waiting on too, because the helmets are actually a pretty integral part. I mean, we've got Pelicans and stuff. We got a lot of things that you don't necessarily need to have the helmets, but having something like a helmet is nice for Arma. They're big cargo haulers, and they're great for logistics stuff, which there's a lot of logistical stuff you could potentially do in Arma. So having something like this, I'm waiting for it. So really cross my fingers that this thing gets finished. Now, we do have something a little bit more civilian here. This is, I'm guessing, a Jenna. I actually don't know what kind of model this is or which car this is based off of yet. This is a much earlier one. It does say Janet right at the top, though. I kind of assumed it was just based off the general shape, but the car has changed quite a bit over the different Halo games and stuff, so I wasn't 100% positive. Pretty early on. It's a good outline. The one that's in the mod right now has needed an update. It's lacking any sort of like real interior. I don't mind the outside of the current Genet. I mean, it's old. It hasn't really been updated in a long time, but it doesn't really bother me. It's the interior that I've wanted and waited so long for it to get updated. So hopefully we'll see that with this one. And that's about all I had to say for that, which brings us back over to military vehicles, which brings us to this monstrosity of a Rhino that Hollywood's been working on. Now, I didn't know for sure, but apparently this thing is designed to be an MLRS system, and it's gonna be crazy. I'm actually really hoping for this thing, because who doesn't love a good MLRS? Tripped over my own tongue there, guys. Apologies. Anyways, who doesn't love a good rocket launcher system? And yeah, this thing's pretty cool. I don't know how practical it is, but I love it. And hopefully this is something we might see in the mod. Obviously, it's not actually a, as far as I'm aware at least, not actually a design that was ever concepted out or anything. This is just Hollywood having some fun with it. But I wouldn't mind seeing this in the mod at all. With that being said, that brings us on over to buildings, which is with our boy Go After It again. So we already talked about him doing the soccer ball as a means to get into the Operation Trebuchet mods team fully, to get some additional resources with his blue name that he now has. So we see a bunch of additional work on the orbital elevator, the area surrounding it. So this is the arcology, or the base of it. So all the structures that would be surrounding the base of the orbital elevator, that's what these are. So you got like the tunnels leading up to it, the base building set that the elevator actually sits on. This is massive. It's so huge. I've got in here somewhere some images of somebody actually sitting, like an Arma man sitting on the building, and he looks like a speck. I actually had to increase the size of the image on my screen because I thought my monitor had a speck of dirt on it. It was actually an Arma man on this building. It's nuts. It's really crazy how huge this building is. And that's with the orbital elevator scaled down some, which is the other crazy thing. I mean, if you guys saw the images of it on Madrigal months and months ago when I shared those, you know that, like, pretty much that whole center island was orbital elevator. So pretty crazy stuff. Definitely looking forward to seeing this orbital elevator in-game. Glad it got scaled down some, because to be honest, I love the massive size of it. I think it's hilarious. It looks super awesome and imposing, but maybe not super practical. So this is a little bit more practical with it getting scaled down and scaled back like that. Love the arcology so far. Really looking forward to seeing if they implement this into an official Optray map or something. If not, I'm sure we'll see a lot of screenshots and stuff and gameplay missions making use of this set once it comes out. Alright, so that leaves us with one other thing here as far as structures and stuff go, which is another model from Lee. This is based off the Halo Reach, I want to say civilian transport. I think Reach is one of the few games that has actually had civilian transports. I know these ones aren't from Halo Wars, so this has to be the Reach model. Anyways, this is the one of the civilian transports being worked on by Lee, and it's pretty cool. I actually don't know if this is intended to be a vehicle. This could actually be a vehicle, and I could have this in the wrong section, but given the size of this thing, I'm guessing it's supposed to be a static prop piece. Pretty cool stuff. We did have, obviously, some ships which Big Wilk had worked on, then they removed from the mod to do some additional work, and then just Big Wilk kind of quit working on Optray. So, unfortunately, we never saw the re-implementation of the ships that we did have. So, getting this ship in would be nice, especially because it's a civilian ship. This is great for, like, a defend objective or something like that. You know, if you've got, even if you don't have Covenant in your mod, you've just got Insurrectionists. This could be a great Insurrectionist target, like, hey, the Insurrectionists are trying to capture this thing and do whatever, you know, harm the civilians on there, or take them hostage, whatever. I don't know. It could be fun. That's my point. Then that brings us on over to community, which we start off with Rabid Duck Sauce in the Flood mod. So he shared a model of a Flood Spore, the Spider Spore, I believe is what he was calling it. It's not exact, or maybe it was Octopus or something. It's not technically really either because it's only got like 6 tendrils. But regardless, sorry guys, there's screaming kids and stuff, but some cranky kids, school starting and whatnot. But yeah, pretty cool. Not much else to say about it. It's a static prop piece. Not in game yet, but looking pretty good so far. Haven't seen much from Rabid Duck Sauce over the past week aside from this, but I'm still pretty excited for it. So nonetheless, though, we're going to keep moving on, which brings us on over to another project, and I'm going to probably butcher his name, but Zemio is working on this, and it's obviously the Mastodon, which is pretty cool. We've seen some work on a Mastodon, or I believe we've seen some work on Mastodon in the past, or it's been kind of briefly brushed upon by 1 or 2 Optray devs, but it's never really gone anywhere as far as I know. It's not super seriously. So that would be pretty cool to actually see this thing done. The wheels were actually done by Lee instead of Zemio, from my understanding. Aside from that, though, pretty cool looking. Obviously, the Mastodon's a pretty big unit, so this could be a pretty cool troop transport. I'm not sure how practical something this size would actually be, but it could be a lot of fun to see these things rolling around in ops. I would definitely be digging having this thing out in the field. With that being said, guys, that is everything for this week. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. As always, I want to know what you guys were most excited for from today's video, what you guys want to see the most in future Optray content releases, and other than that, I want you guys to take it easy. Alright guys, I'll see you around.